It is not something that we should even for a day or a second think, ponder, or dream about it, not to talk about even mentioning it. You now behaving as if you have not seen your kind. Don't be wearing battles of best, roaming here and there. Then when it gets to second semester, then you start wearing shoes and be packing in. Who are you deceiving?
Welcome to you with Burnys right here on GT. My name is Burnys. You can call me Burnys and you can call me Era as well. If you're new here, you're warmly welcome. This is my YouTube channel, and here I conduct interviews and of course discussions. If you're not new, thank you for coming back to watch my video. If you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. Kindly like this video, please share and please comment. So probably you saw the thumbnail of this video or you saw the title of the video, that's why you are here. But please permit me to introduce my guest for today. My guest today is a gentleman whom the first time I had an encounter with him, even though it wasn't a one-on-one encounter, I saw him from afar, I heard him from afar. But I sat in my seat and I was like, indeed, this is a true definition of bravery. This is indeed a true definition of fluency and elegance. I would say he is an Anadampa Ekufado of UMaT, that is University of Minesandtechnology. And of course, he is a Joe Biden of this institution. And so I would also say that he is a true definition, in fact, a vivid definition of the words acta non verba, that is actions, not words. And so, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome my guest for today, the SRC President of the University of Minesandtechnology, UMaT, His Excellency John Bagui. Most people know him as Sir John. You are welcome, Sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sir, let me start from you. Most of us know you as Sir John. Can you tell us a history behind that name?
Alright, Era, thank you so much for having me. I am humbled by your kind words. Yes, so growing up as a boy in the town in Bono East region, Akebu. In fact, many people have had different perceptions about me. And for many individuals, they anticipated, or if you want, prophesy where I'll be ending. So when I started my basic education with St. Patrick's Roman Catholic School, got to primary 1, then these whites from a convent called JMJ, Jesus Mary Joseph. In fact, those days dominantly they came from India, Indonesia, and Holland. They came to establish a new school in Akebu called JMJ. So my dad had to take me from primary 1 to where I start from KG1. And as I was growing, as I said, many people had, different perspective about where this gentleman should end. I completed the basic education, went to senior high school. And for one set of these people were my family members. For my family members, especially my elderly sister, Sister Esther, wherever she is, God bless her. If she happens to charge this or this video, I must say I'm very, very glad to have her as a sister. For her, all this while, her vision for me was to become a medical doctor. Why? Because in our society, it is believed that if somebody is very brilliant, they must end up in the medical school. And in fact, I love her so much because she has made a lot of sacrifices for me. So after SHS, I bought a university form to enroll in the medical school. But around that time, again, a member of the family said that, apply for College of Education. So when the admissions came, there was no money to fund my education in the medical school. So I had to opt for College of Education. Because those days allowances were paid. So at least there was a guaranteed source of funding for my College of Education. So I went through College of Education, Wesley College of Education. and taught as a professional teacher for a number of years before coming. So that has emanated from the fact that I am a professional trained teacher. I have taught in the classroom for some time before coming to University of Minesandtechnology.
So let me take you back to your childhood. You were in class 1 and were sent back to KG1. How did you feel at that time? How was it?
Well, I felt very, very bad. Because, as a small boy, I didn't know what it meant. I remember I had to fight my dad, but I believe that it is one of the very best decisions that he took that has impacted my life so greatly. Because I felt that how can you get to class 1 and you are sent back to KG1? Not for the fact of in performance, but because whites have come to establish school and your dad feels that, And you know that feeling of breaking ties with people that you have known for, And so I remember when I got to P6 like this, those that I was in the same class with in St. Patrick's, they were preparing for their PEC. So the feeling was not very good, when my dad took that decision.
So now let's come to you teaching in the classroom and coming back to UMaT. What influenced the decision?
Okay, so right from primary school, JHS, SHS, let me say that I'm very good at calculation. I'm not flattering myself, but I'm very good. Very, very good at calculation. In fact, SHS, I scored as much as 98, 99 in physics and elective maths. So I'm very good at, calculation. And so at SHS, I thought that my best field that I could do with ease was engineering, because my understanding was that engineering is purely related to calculations. And so if I ended up as an engineer, I could comfortably practice as an engineer. But I didn't know much about engineering. Those days, I remember I knew only about petroleum engineering and electrical electronic engineering. Even that one, I didn't know much about what all these stuff about. So when I left SHS and I entered college, as I said, I wanted to always satisfy the vision my sister had for me. So even at college, and even when I completed college, I still bought forms for medical school. But the last form I bought for medical school, in fact, something happened that I don't want to mention it on this set. It was very appalling. I was very disappointed. So after that experience, I decided to go back to my first love. That is what I've always wanted to do, engineering. And I remember one day I was there in the evening when a gentleman I mentored at college called me and was like, I said, John, now we won't go to school here. To wait, won't you go to school again? He said, come with TV and come by this time I really begin to wait if I had the head or the brains that you have. Yes. Then I was like, Kwaito, you know all that I've gone through in recent time about wanting to enroll in the medical school and so on and so forth. Then he asked, when you're mining engineering now, at that time he was teaching around Sunyani. And I said, oh, in Ghana here they train mining engineers. And he said, yes. So that evening he gave me a gentleman's number. I called the gentleman. That gentleman is a former president of this university. He's popularly called Wax Billion. I think he was SRC President from 2014 to 2015. Yeah, so I called him. We spoke that night. And the next day, I went to buy forms to apply to UMaT. Yes, and that is how I ended up in the University of Minesandtechnology, and I did training as a mining engineer.
So back at the college, we heard you held so many positions. How was it? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so before college, in fact, I didn't like anything politics. I have been in leadership since my basic school days, but all those leadership roles were held in the church. So those of us who are Catholics, we know that we have what we call Catholic Youth Organization, CYO. I remember for our parish, as young as class 5, I was the secretary for CYO. And when I went to senior high school, in fact, those days at my parish, I was in CYO, I was in Knights and Ladies of the Altar, what is popularly called Mass Service. I was part of Catholic Charismatic Renewal, and in all, I held positions. When I went to SHS2, they said then I was Castle President, I was Legion of Mary President, a whole lot of portfolios. But I didn't like anything politics because my understanding was that politicians are, if you want, for the want of a better word, nice. Yes. They are hard-hearted, they are good. I mean, that is for the lack of better words, but that was my appreciation of who politicians are. Until I entered college, Wesley College, and those days, Wesley College, to become the college secretary, which other institutions refer to as SRC President, you must be a Methodist before you qualify. And I am a Catholic, so my colleagues started saying that, oh, John, would you go for college secretary? But when they came to realize that I am a Catholic, the next in command after college secretary is men's secretary. Then they were like, wouldn't you go for men's secretary? And I was like, I don't like anything politics. Then once a friend came to me and said that, if you get up, everything about you is church. Pastor, do you remember the parable Jesus Christ told about a king traveling and leaving for his servants' talents, and one hidden his and two utilizing theirs and so on? Bottom line, the point he was making is that God was going to judge us for failing to utilize our talent. So if many people were calling me to leave their talent, it is for a reason. Perhaps it is for something unique that they have seen in me. And that was the turning point for me deciding to venture into student politics. And truly, 2013-2014, when we contested for the men's secretary race, we were 5 in number. But I won almost 50% of the vote. Again, that reflected the zeal and the call that the students were calling. After finishing serving as men's secretary, I didn't want to continue. But at sector level, Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, they said that no, you must go for a national portfolio. Then 2014-15, they pushed me to become Deputy National Secretary of Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana. After serving, they said no, we need you again. So again, they voted me to be national coordinator, 15-16. And that same year, I had the opportunity to serve as a judicial committee member of the National Union of Ghana Students. I had the opportunity to serve as a vetting committee member. I had the opportunity to serve on some government boards to advise government on utility bills and how they should be structured. Yes, so the people gave me a lot of privileges and support to lead them or to serve them. Yes, and that is how come I went how far I did.
So coming to UMaT and holding so many positions back then, did you come with any mindset of coming into student politics when you were coming?
Alright, I didn't have any targets at the time that I was coming to UMaT. But for me, what is obvious and has happened over the period of time is that my decision to contest or lead the people always emanate from the call of the people. And so I remember when we came to UMaT, the first general meeting that was held under the administration of Mr. Burnys, it was held at the mini auditorium. And I remember my first submission that I made before I ended, the students started chanting SRC President. Just first year, first semester. Before I ended my first submission, the students themselves, started chanting. And so it had to remind me of that advice that my friend gave me at college. And say, if the people are calling, let us avail ourselves. And deciding to avail ourselves, we knew the ramifications, we knew, if you want, the education and all those stuff that you may go through.
So, how would you describe student politics?
Yeah, so student politics is fun. Yes, it gives you the opportunity to also interact with many people. In fact, the student politics is not like the partisan one. I think that one that is done at the national level. That they will always organize rallies for the presidential candidates to go and stand before big crowds. No, the student politics, you have really one-to-one interaction, especially in universities like ours that do not have numbers like UGK and University and so on and so forth. The student themselves expect to have one-on-one interaction. So it also gives you the opportunity to interact with varying people. You learn a lot of things. You get a lot of experience also from that. Yeah.
So, would you say being a leader is difficult?
Well, for me, it is my passion. Okay, it is my passion, so I flow naturally with it.
And the question I was about to ask is like you answered. I was about to ask you whether there is a difference between the normal partisan politics and the student politics, because there are I've met so many people that you tell them, oh, why don't you go into student politics, and they'll be like, politicians are this, politicians are that. So can you throw more light on it? Is it different, like totally different?
You see, it is about the individuals who are there. There is no cast in stone definition for politicians. Okay, so it is the individuals who are there, and the society, the fabric of the society. In fact, just not too long ago, I was telling somebody that when you look at the Ghanaian political system and architecture, you can hardly blame the individuals. In fact, the society is bad. Because assuming that somebody wants to be a political party secretary or so, then you, the delegate, you have to demand for something from that person. It means you are helping the person to be corrupt when they get power. Because that person is not Father Christmas. You get the point. So there is no cast in stone. And I experienced it. I remember I went to a particular place during our campaign, and somebody was demanding 20 cedis or 200 cedis for me. And I told him to keep his vote. I told him in his face not to keep his vote. I will not present myself vulnerable, because as much as I do, I am not Father Christmas. If I give you money to get your vote, you are helping to corrupt me. Because at the end of the day, I will want to look better, or if you want to get profits out of it. And so it is the Ghanaian political architecture system which the society plays a major role in. With the individual, there are also other people that, if you want, you put them in the cassock of the Pope, they will still be corrupt. Give them the power freely. Don't let them pay a dime for it. Still, they will be corrupt. So, for me, it is individualistic. We don't have a cast in stone definition for our politicians. It is the individuals who find themselves and the values they have grown with, the principles they have known, and so on and so forth.
So, being the good person that you are, what inspires you?
Yes, what is very refreshing is to always find out that my actions and inactions impact someone positively. Yes, so some people will say that those John there, they should be. I am always very happy if I know that I'm able to leave a mark, in fact, a positive, indelible mark in the life of somebody. I am always very inspired if I hear, but for Sir John, I wouldn't have gotten here. But for Sir John, this is what and that he did for me. In fact, those are the things that keep me going, that encourages me, that inspire me to want to do more.
So we are bringing this interview to an end. Today is 8th March 2022, and we know Ghana celebrates our Independence Day every 6th March. Ghana is now 65 years, we've clocked 65, but people are saying Ghana is 65, but we don't deserve it. We don't deserve it in a sense that in terms of development, in terms of growing, we are not growing. What do you say about it?
Yes, I think that we cannot undermine the gains that we have collectively worked for as a country. It would be unfair to say that Ghana at 65, we have not achieved anything. In fact, we have achieved something. Perhaps we have not gotten to where we ought to have been. But then, having said that, it is also a responsibility for all Ghanaians to want to play their role, contribute their quota in the development of our country. What happened to the spirit of patriotism today? What happened to the spirit of patriotism? I remember growing up, we were taught to be very patriotic. In fact, Sunyani Senior High School, our motto is, a man is not born for himself, but for his country. That is the essence of patriotism. But today, anything, any action, an office holder, an influential person, any decision they take, they look at themselves first before looking at others, before looking at the country. How then do we meet our target or our objective with this kind of thinking, with this kind of, orientation? So if we will have to get to our targets, then again, we have to go and bring back the lost or diminishing patriotism in the citizenry today. And I believe if we all honestly contribute our quota, both leadership and followership, collectively we can get to our set targets, and we all will be more proud than we are today of our motherland.
Okay. And let's go to the Ukraine-Russia saga. So right now there are so many things that are going on social media, newspapers, everywhere about Ukraine, Russia. What would you say about it? And when you are done, maybe you say some words of peace to our country.
It is unfortunate that at this age that we practice democracy enormously, at this age that diplomacy is everywhere, war has been resorted to as a means of, unraveling a misunderstanding. And this is not a business for only Russia and Ukraine. It has mitigating effects, and its ripple effect on other countries and even the world economy cannot be, undermined. So it is unfortunate that it is happening that way. I believe the position of many people in the world would have been that this war even never happened, and that diplomacy could, be employed to unravel that situation. And so we pray that in the ensuing days ahead of us, this war comes to an end. The parties involved are able to make peace so that the issues can be resolved. And coming to Ghana, in fact, I have not lived in an era of coup before, but those that I have heard experience the era of coup, like my parents and so on and so forth. It is not something that we should even for a day or a second think, ponder, or dream about it, not to talk about even mentioning it. And so we are a beacon of democracy. We have always prided ourselves with peace. I will pray to all Ghanaians that we hold and guard the peace that we enjoy today generously. In fact, I have said that the worst form of democracy, I think, is better than an autocratic regime. That is also not to say that our democracy should be plumbed into its worst form, but that is to paint the picture that the regime of coup or dictatorship is not something that anybody should even crave of, irrespective of which political party that you subscribe to. We have only one Ghana. Let us hold the peace that we enjoy and develop as a country.
So, and then there are people who also want to enter into student politics. Someone would love to be in your shoes after you are gone. What do you tell these people?
Yes, leadership is a good thing. And you must not be wanting to be the SRC President before you leave. In fact, many people ask me these questions. When they talk to me, say, "John, want to be SRC President, want to be this, want to be this. How do you go about it?" I tell them, start living your life as a leader. You must not get the position before you become a leader. In fact, leadership and office are two different things. We have people who are in offices, they have portfolios, but they are not leaders. And we have people who are leaders, but they don't have offices. But if you're a leader and you have a position or a portfolio or an office, the office catapults your leadership impact. So it is a good thing for them to want to take up portfolios and so on and so forth. So they should be preparing themselves now. And by preparing that, they should lead their lives as leaders. If you were the SRC President, things that you will not say, don't say it at this time that you are not an SRC President. If you were the SRC President, where you will not go, don't go there at the time that you are not. So don't live your life anyhow, and when you get to second semester, when the lecture should be held, you will now behaving as if you have not seen your kind. Don't be wearing bathroom slippers, roaming here and there. Then when it gets to second semester, then you start wearing shoes and be packing in. Who are you deceiving? If you want to be an office holder or a leader, that's what you expect. Start living your life.
Thank you very much, St. John.
Thank you, Eva, for having me.
And so I promise you that today I have a great person for you, and indeed, it's more evident now. And I hope you really enjoyed this interview. Kindly subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and please turn on this notification in order not to miss any of my videos. Once again, my name is Burnys, and thank you for watching me today. Bye.